This week on Life on Air.
You know, I spent 8 years as a host on QVC, and I'm not sure the viewers get a sense of how much hard work takes place behind the scenes.
Former QVC host Kim Parrish talks about what it's like to be a shopping host on a national network and what celebrity guest left a real impression on her.
When I first went on the air with her, and I realized just how real she truly is. She has always been an amazing role model to me.
The talented and dynamic Kim Parrish, next on Life on Air. Hey everybody, welcome to Life on Air. This is Tim Tialdo, and you have reached the podcast for the TV hosting industry. My job is to connect you with the experts and make sure that you become the best host you possibly can be. And I do that on this podcast through interviewing a lot of hosts that are either on the air today, they've been on the air in the past, or they're just experts in various parts of the industry. And today, I have a very special podcast, especially for those of you who are wanting to get into the whole, shopping host realm of television, because I have one of the best that I've ever seen and ever known. And she was a former Miss West Virginia. That's actually how I met her when I was a news anchor in West Virginia. I went up to QVC to interview her while she was on the air, and she was just amazing to watch. She could ad-lib through absolutely anything, and she's become a good friend that when I need some advice or somebody to just tell me like it is, I call her, and she kind of takes care of it for me. So welcome Kim Parrish to the podcast. How are you?
Hi, this is so exciting.
Oh my gosh, isn't it? So how are you? Tell me what's going on.
I'm doing great. I find this really exciting. I loved your intro because that was probably one of the most fun days, having you tag along with the camera crew when I was at QVC hosting and taking you through the steps of what it was like to be a QVC host. You know, I spent 8 years as a host on QVC, and I'm not sure the viewers get a sense of how much hard work takes place behind the scenes, because when we're on the air, we're happy, we're perky, we're having fun, we're shopping, and we're talking about great products. But there's so much legwork that's done behind the scenes before the host even appears on the air, and you had a chance to walk in my shoes, sort of.
I certainly did. I certainly did. And the funny thing is, you don't think of West Virginia as a big recruiting hub for a shopping host. How did you get into it?
Well, it was kind of interesting. I was Miss West Virginia, as you mentioned, in 1992, and I competed in the pageant system, the Miss America organization, because I felt that it could be a stepping stone for me to launch my career on national television. Although I wasn't quite sure how to get there at the time, I felt that the experience of holding the state title and learning how to network and market myself, and as well as the connections I would make throughout the state with TV, I might then be able to parlay that into my career choice. And that's exactly what happened. I was competing at the Miss America pageant. There was a local weathercaster, newscaster that came to Atlantic City at the time to follow me around for 2 weeks, my experience at Miss America, and we became great friends. And when I was graduating from West Virginia University with this degree in theater, I wasn't sure what to do with it. And he says, "You don't want to be an actress. You're great on TV. You are great playing yourself on TV. Why don't you become a weathercaster?" And I said, "Come on, Mike, I don't even know, I don't know anything about weather. How am I going to do this?" And he goes, "Please, I've been a weathercaster for decades. I'll just take you into the studio and show you how it's done." Well, funny thing is, I didn't get the job at his TV station, but I was able to get the job at my local TV station, and back in Parkersburg, West Virginia. And from there, the first time I went out of the gate and I did my very first weathercast, I thought I did great. I'm a performer. I'm on TV. I'm doing great. And the man whose job he was retiring, he had been in television and radio for 50 years, and he was retiring, and he pulled me aside, and in this kind of Yoda-like moment, he looked me right in the eye, and he said, "Television and performing and doing the weather on TV is 90% preparation and 10% performance. Now go get a book." So from there, I realized that it's going to take a lot of preparation and education for me to be able to take my hometown experience and parlay that into national TV. But it's been an exciting venture, and I'm so glad with the role models and mentors that I've had throughout my past.
So did you feel like that was good advice?
Oh, are you kidding? It was the most amazing advice. And trust me, I mean, at the time when I was doing weather, I don't even think I knew that weather moved from, west to east. I had low pressure systems all over the map. It was a crazy experience. But I spent 14 months at my local TV station kind of absorbing it all. And I was also, I was a hard worker. I was also hosting a radio show, and my producer pulls me aside and he goes, "You keep talking about how you want to work on national TV. You want to do VH1 or MTV or QVC or HSN or something like that. There's an audition at QVC. Put your money where your mouth is. I dare you to go on this audition." And, I was hesitant. I wasn't sure. I'd only spent less than 2 years in small market TV. And I said, "I don't know if I can do this." And he goes, "Come on." And he basically called me a chicken and said I couldn't do it. And if you know anything about me, if somebody says I can't do it, well, then I'm going to go do it.
Yeah, you're going to go
do it. So I drove myself to Pennsylvania. I was nervous. I walked in to do the audition, and a couple weeks later, they called me up and offered me a job. So if it wasn't for those three people that I just mentioned, as kind of role models, guiding me in that path, I would have never had that goal of mine or that dream of mine come true.
Now, you look on the host job boards all the time, and QVC and HSN and Shop NBC, they're always looking for new hosts, but you actually went through the experience. What was that like?
Oh, it's an amazing experience. I think what I loved about what I've spent since 1995 in television shopping, so it's quite a long time. I started very, very young. But what I've learned about the whole experience is it's just so important in television to have integrity, to whether you're talking about a product or whether you're just representing your own image. It's just so important to have integrity. And when talking to viewers about products, especially in TV shopping, it's so important to have that knowledge base. Again, it goes back to 90% preparation, 10% performance. So a host on television would go in hours before a shift and learn about the products and study them and meet with the guests and absorb like sponges as much information as they could. And then they would creatively find ways to plant it not only in their own lifestyles, but in the viewer's lifestyle as well. And if the viewer could visualize why they could use this product or, almost feel that product already in their lifestyle, then that purchase would be made. But what was so important to me and is so important to me as somebody who works in TV shopping is I never want to sell someone. I want that person to want the item because it's going to be perfect for them, but you should never have to convince them or oversell someone. It should just be something that it's their idea. You're just giving them the knowledge and the information to make a smart purchase.
I remember following you around at the studios there in Westchester, and by the way, they're absolutely enormous studios.
Yes.
And you would go on the air for hours at a time. I mean, what was your average time that you were on the air straight?
Well, a host can spend up to 4 hours straight on the air. So typically a host shift will be somewhere between 2 and 4 hours. So you can imagine a product changes about every 8 minutes, and if you would change products every 8 minutes for 4 straight hours, you can think about how many different products and different genres you'll reach throughout that 4-hour block.
Now, some people are going to hear that and go, that's terrifying, just to think about going on. You don't have a teleprompter. You don't have anything to go on but your own knowledge. What's probably the most important thing that somebody has to have if they want to be a shopping host?
Well, most importantly, a good personality and a strong work ethic. I don't think that anybody would survive in TV shopping if they didn't have a strong work ethic. And then the ability to absorb information quickly. I don't have a lot of memory retention. I would drive out of the studio and forget about my day. But while I was in that studio during those 4 hours I was on the air, it was just an intense amount of knowledge and information that was in my brain that I had to make sure that the viewer understood. So, and I think too, a contagious personality is just so important. Obviously, the person who's on the air, the host, is there to educate the viewer about the product, but they've got to do it in a fun way. I mean, it's entertainment as well as sales and education, so it's just so important that the viewer is having a good time.
And I think the other thing that people love about, QVC especially, I know you had a lot of celebrities on in which you got to work one-on-one with them on the air and kind of talk about the things that they were doing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know, the coolest moments in my career were those moments when the people that I looked up to as a small town girl from West Virginia, that I looked up to on television, that I wanted to emulate their careers, when I had a chance to interview them. So the very first time I went on the air with Joan Rivers, who's just iconic not only in comedy and television but also in style. When I first went on the air with her, and I realized just how real she truly is. She has always been an amazing role model to me. The best moment was later on after I left QVC and I was launching my clothing collection. I started a clothing collection which aired on HSN and the Shopping Channel in Canada and QVC in the UK and Shopping BC in the US too. But I had a chance to see Joan again at the Shopping Channel in Canada, and I walked in thinking, okay, I'm in the green room here again with Joan Rivers. Will she even remember me? It's been a couple years. You know, she sees millions of people on her travels throughout her year. There's no way she'll remember me. And of course, I'd host a lot of shows with her. That's probably silly thinking. But she walks in. She's got one of my sweater sets on, and she says, you know, Kim, you're doing a great job. I'm so proud of you. And she goes on the air and she's wearing my clothes and she's talking about me. And I thought, that's the most awesome thing. She's one of the hardest working people in television. She's about as real as you can get. And she's always willing to help other people out.
What a super cool experience. Now, you mentioned your clothing collection. Talk about how your career kind of parlayed that into another business.
Yeah, you know, I have always found that in television, and I'm sure you have as well, that networking is so, so important. Yes. And just always making sure that everybody that you meet, that you are just genuinely nice to. I mean, you never know when you're going to be able to help somebody or they're going to be able to help you, or you just want a question answered, or maybe somebody is coming to you to have a question answered. So you should always be available, and then hopefully that karma comes back to you. I had a chance. I met with several people when I decided that it was time for me after 8 years to move on. The schedule's crazy in TV shopping, and I had just gotten married, and we were thinking about, you know, a family and a little bit calmer lifestyle. And I was met by several opportunities, and the one that I thought was the most interesting to me was developing a clothing collection, a fashion collection. And we did. Had an amazing collection for 7 years, which launched actually on the Home Shopping Network in Tampa, so it's nationwide across the U.S. And then from there, a couple years into it, we took it to QVC in the UK, and we also took it to the Shopping Channel in Canada. So I had a chance to venture out and to do quite a bit of traveling, which I would consider a hobby of mine.
Very cool, very cool. Well, I'll tell you what, I know you're a very busy woman. I don't want to keep you too long, but I appreciate you talking about all this stuff, and I know there's probably so much more that we could talk about, so maybe I'll have you back on in the future. Would you be up for that?
I would love it. How fun.
Okay, very cool. Well, that's Kim Parrish. And folks, by the way, if you go to my website, under the resources section, there's a little pull-down banner there that says calling cards on it, and Kim is one of my demo reel examples because her demo reel rocks. It's very quick. It tells a great story, and as you'll see Kim on the air, she's just got a lot of energy. So it's one of those that I use as a great example. So if you're looking to make a demo reel for shopping specifically, go check that out. And Kim, thanks so much for being here, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Folks, that is Life on Air, and remember, the only way to predict your future is to go out and create it. Now go do it. We'll see you next week.